Welcome back to the Software Lens. I'm Imtiaz Hassan. So, in episode 2, we built the concept of an organizational brain. Today, we stress test it against the ugliest number in the enterprise tech. Here is the question. If I told you that there was one pattern, one, that explains why most AI projects fail, would you want to know what exactly is that? Well, that's not a technology problem, not a talent problem. It is actually a thinking problem. Barry Straw at Berkeley described it back in 1976. Knee deep is a big muddy. That was the title. The escalation of commitment to a failing course of action, basically. Your last AI failure didn't just waste money, it actively poisoned your next attempt, and nobody told you that. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how and hand you the antidote as well towards the end. And here is the promise that everything that we are going to discuss today and also in the previous episodes, we are going to, in the next episode, show you a live demo, real signals, real pipeline, real organizational brain being built in front of your eyes. So let's start with the numbers first. In my introductory episode, the first one, you already know the headline, but let me give you the exact sources and let's expand upon that. Gartner predicted, and this is from their 2018 report, that 85% of AI projects would deliver erroneous outcomes due to bias in data, algorithms, or the teams that are managing them. That prediction has been cited thousands of times since then. More recently, Gartner's 2025 report actually found out that the lack of AI ready data puts the majority of AI projects at risk of failure. Similarly, MIT Sloan published, the title was The Gen AI Divide, State of AI in Business State of AI in Business 2025, based on 52 executive interviews and 153 leader surveys and analysis of 300 public AI deployments. 95% of companies saw zero measurable impact on the bottom line, not minimal, zero. And S&P Global's Voice of the Enterprise survey of over 1,000 IT and business professionals found out that 42% of companies abandoned the majority of their AI initiatives in 2025, up from 17% the year before. And the failure rate is actually accelerating. So there are three patterns that explain why. One, no clear objectives. Organizations that define specific measurable targets before touching even AI consistently outperform those that actually don't define, the specific measurable targets. And I'm talking about by multiples, not even percentages. Number two, no process understanding. You cannot automate what you haven't mapped. Teams skip straight to tool selection without understanding how processes actually are working underneath. Number three, tool first thinking. The vendor demo was mesmerizing. Somebody just saw a video and it was so aha moment, and there was a knee jerk impulse reaction to just adopt it right away. And 6 months pass, and 500,000 later, it's all shelved. Investment is gone because nobody asked what specific friction does it solve. So nobody was actually looking into that, and they just jumped onto it. And all the three share actually one root cause, basically starting with AI instead of starting with the problem first mindset. Here is the part that nobody talks about. When an AI project fails, the invoice isn't the damage only. The damage is invisible. And I'm calling this damage as corrosion cascade. There are 5 stages to it. Stage one, the failure event. A pilot crashes, budget gone. That's the visible damage. But it's only the smallest part. Stage two is the cognitive debt. The organizations actually draw the wrong conclusion out of it. For example, uh, maybe AI doesn't work here. Maybe we don't know how to apply AI. Maybe we are not clear on how to use AI in our business. That's not a data point. That's a corrupted signal, and it spreads. Engineers become cynical. Managers become risk averse. Executives demand ROI before even approving another dollar. Each layer compounds that corrupted signal. Stage three, institutional narrative. The cognitive debt hardens into identity that maybe we shouldn't be adopting AI at all, or maybe we are not the AI company, or we tried this or we tried that, but it's not succeeding because we have no AI knowledge, or we have no AI skill set. And there are many other problems similar to that. Carl Weick at the University of Michigan called this sense making. When organizations actually experience failure, they don't just record what happened, they construct a story about what happened. And that story actually becomes the truth. The post mortem said, for example, poor vendor fit. The real cause was actually no process mapping. But the wrong story actually became the official story and the official version. Stage four, organizational amnesia. This one has nothing to do with the people leaving. Uh, every person, can stay, and still amnesia can happen. Why? Because the organization never captured the real lesson. Um, Dalkir at McGill, one of the leading researchers in knowledge management, has documented extensively how organizations systematically fail to capture operational knowledge, not because people are lazy, because there is no system for capturing it, no process, no feedback loop. The organization generates thousands of learning signals every quarter and captures almost none of them. And that's the biggest problem. Stage five, the cascade lock. Every future proposal fights through the four layers of antibodies. Each new idea is evaluated through the distorted lens of the last failure. And this is probably happening in your organization right now as well. And there is no system actually catching it yet. Now, let me show you how to cascade forward instead of backward. I mean, this cascade corrosion actually moves the organization backward. So, what's the forward cascade effect? Let's flip everything we talked about. The corrosion cascade moves backward, failure actually breeding more failures. But what if you could make it move forward? So for example, what I want to say is that each solved problem effectively opening the door to the next one. That's the catalyst cascade. And here's the key difference from the previous episodes, in which I was talking about building a system that captures learning and organizational brain, whereas the catalyst cascade is about giving that brain something to learn from. It's the signal source. Without the cascade, the brain has nothing to process. Without the brain, the cascade's lessons actually evaporate. So they need each other, and you'll see exactly how when we walk through the actual working demo of the building process of organizational brain using the five agents that I was referring to in my previous episode. Um, and but for now, let me show you the cascade in action first. Let's take simple example. Let's say project delivery delays. Every organization has this. Projects consistently come into in 30 to 40% late. You map the process end to end, and you then discover that 60% of delays actually trace back to the requirements ambiguity, not engineering, actually the requirements or the scoping ambiguity. So basically, what happens if you fix it? A structured sign-off process comes in, and let's say, as an example, a 90-minute alignment session before even kickoff happens. Um, Sounds boring, sounds lengthy, but watch what happens. Even with this thing, the cascade impact is that the delivery timelines actually tighten 30% faster. Fewer change requests means engineers stop the context switching. Code quality actually improves. Incidents drop 60%. Your support team, they are not drowning themselves into the tickets anymore. And finally, they start to build the knowledge base that's been on the backlog for 2 years. So one requirement fixed, and there were 6 downstream improvements, not a dollar spent on AI yet. You fixed the core problem, and the overall organizational efficiency or your process efficiency, actually your execution efficiency, increased. That is the catalyst cascade. Each domino basically reveals the next. Now, now here what makes this genuinely different: if the cascade stalls or halts, or it doesn't kick, cascade effect doesn't kick in, or I mean to say that if nothing improves downstream, that's not a failure. That is a diagnostic itself. So Peter Senge in his book, The Fifth Discipline, mentioned that organizations are systems. And you cannot fix a system by optimizing only one part in isolation. When the cascade actually halts and it's not kicking in, it's telling you that the system has a structural gap somewhere. Every other framework treats stall as a failure. The catalyst cascade, however, treats it as your diagnostic, as your MRI scan. What happens when cascade effect is not kicking in? Or a better question is that what does the stall actually tell you? What's the data point? What it indicates? It indicates two things. There are possibly two root causes. Almost always. Root cause A, wrong inefficiency that you detected. You solved a symptom, not a cause. Or the inefficiency was isolated, no downstream connections. Solving it was like, pulling a domino that wasn't touching anything else. So how do you avoid this? Before you actually pick any inefficiency to target, map try to map its connections. Does it touch clarity gap, execution gap, people, or growth? If it doesn't touch at least two of those, find a different domino. Root cause B, broken foundation. The inefficiency was right, well, correctly spotted. The direction was right, but your infrastructure cannot carry that signal. A clarity gap means nobody understands where the cascade should flow. A people gap means the team cannot absorb this change. An execution gap means that the improvement exists on paper but not in practice. So here's the beautiful part. This diagnostic itself is a valuable data point. When a cascade stalls, you've just learned something about your organization that no consultant report could have told you. This lack of cascade kicking in effect, it generates the data on its own. That data makes the next cascade actually smarter. So the system doesn't just survive the stalls, it gets better because of them. And in the next episode, when you see the live demo where the signals, including these stall signals, flow through the pipeline that captures, classifies, and stores every finding permanently into the organizational brain. So you'll find out, how this system should actually work versus what organizations are normally doing in today's world. This is where, this is the most important part, and that's what actually separates the 5% who capture value from the 95% who actually don't. What's the protocol? Step one, define a smart objectives. Just don't say that improve customer service. That's a wish, not an objective. You could define objective just to give you an example. For example, reduce password resets tickets from 200 per week to under 20 by Q2. That is your target. BCG's research shows 5% of companies that capture value at scale, all start here with a specific measurable outcome defined before any technology is actually even selected. Step two, map the current process, every step, every handoff, every workaround someone invented 3 years ago that everyone depends on, but nobody actually documented. You'd be shocked how many organizations try to automate processes nobody has actually drawn even on the whiteboard. They don't even have a clue what we are trying to automate, and they just jump onto it. Step three, um, identify the specific friction. Not just saying, it is slow. That's a complaint. What's the specific part of it? For example, you could say it, the approval stage takes 3 times longer because of the manual data entry across two systems that don't talk to each other. That's a diagnosis. The specific nature of this statement actually determines the cure. Step 4, prove it manually first. Can a script handle 80%? If yes, do that first. AI handles the remaining edge cases later on, but not the whole thing it's gonna handle. Now here's what the most people miss. Each of these 4 steps, they generate the data at each stage. Each step actually reveals something that's meaningful, real structured data about how your organization is actually working. That data becomes a foundation for everything you will see in the compound learning effect framework and practical aspects of the OKL framework that connects with the cascading framework we are talking about right now. There are 2 stories that I want to show here. Same company, same problem, different approaches. Story number 1, no proof run. So they say, let's deploy AI for customer services. Vendor selected, 6 months, $500,000 shelved. Real reason, nobody actually mapped the tickets. Nobody knew 60% were password resets a script could actually handle. The corrosion cascade actually activates. Story 2, situation number 2 is that, again, proof. This time, proof run first. First one was no proof run. This one with proof run first. So the analysis reveals that we mapped 200 tickets, 60% are password resets. We wrote a script. It handles 80% automatically. Deployed in 6 weeks, $50,000, not $500,000 spent on AI. Support team actually freed up. They discovered 3 more automations. No one was actually looking at them before. This is where the cascade opens. So same starting point, 10 times difference in cost, but what matters more than the money? Story 1 actually created the corrupted data. Without proof run, you created the corrupted data. For example, you could say AI didn't fix the problem for us. We are not utilizing AI. We are not skilled enough to use the AI, or maybe our tooling is not right, or maybe we are not using the tool right. Story 2 actually created the compounding intelligence, real baseline, real evidence for the next decision that you are going to make. And it also highlighted a process, an important inefficiency in the process that you can fix without even using AI. Now, let me show you what the big consulting firms found. And the one thing they all actually missed. So BCG's 10-20-70 framework, all what it talks about, that AI leaders allocate 70% of resources to people and processes, only 10% to algorithms. Laggards, of course, do the exact opposite. Same technology, uh, opposite results, because the bottleneck was never the technology. McKinsey's State of AI report, March 2025, 88% of organizations now use in at least one business function, but only 6% qualify as high performers, meaning they see 5% or more EBITDA impact from AI. 88% actually adopted, 6% got results. That gap is everything. It tells you adoption isn't the problem, scaling is. And scaling requires exactly what we've been talking about: process understanding, clear objectives, and of course, and a system that actually captures your learning and contributes towards your organizational brain and organizational wisdom. BCG again. From there, build a future 2025 study across 1,250 global enterprises. Only 5% qualify as future build. These leaders actually generate 1.7 times more revenue growth and 3.6 times greater shareholder returns. And the differentiator, again, isn't technology, it's organizational readiness. BCG's 2024 report, 74% of companies struggle to achieve and scale value from AI. Only 26% actually report measurable business impact. Now, here's what none of these reports actually answer: how do you scale? McKinsey says only 6% do it. BCG says it requires organizational readiness, but nobody is giving you the mechanism. Nobody knows. Nobody is showing you what it actually looks like, in the running mode. And that's exactly what's the compound learning effect, cascading learning, the OKL framework I talked about, and of course the coming up demo in the next episode. That's what it's gonna address that. Your compound learning effect, your organization brain is the answer here. um, Three columns, and be honest about which one you are in. Column one, blind investment. For example, the boardroom says we need AI, we need to use this tool, but nobody asks why. Vendor demos actually drive decisions, or just a tool flashy headline actually is compelling the decision maker to make a choice, make a call. This is where the corrosion cascade actually runs in the background, and this is where 85% of organizations live. And they'll tell you, they are innovating. Well, the truth is they are actually not innovating. They are actually experiencing the corrosion cascade effect. Column two, direct investment. Well, it's better than the previous one. You have picked a clear inefficiency. Objective is also defined. Process is mapped. Fine, fair enough. AI deployed with narrow scope. Real ROI, but it stops there. The win is isolated. The lessons sit in one team's Confluence page that three people actually read. You solved a problem, but you didn't build a system, the comprehensive system within your organization. Column three is where the edge is: cascaded investment. Everything from column two plus cascade thinking plus the system that actually captures every learning that signal automatically. Each win feeds the next. The organization gets smarter and smarter in every cycle. And here is the uncomfortable truth: most organizations think that they are in column two, they are actually in column one with a better PowerPoint deck. The difference between two and three isn't budget or talent, it's whether your organization learns from it, from what it does automatically or not. And that's where I keep repeating that OKL and the compound learning effect will be the answer. And wait for that demo in the next episode. A good segue to talk about it. You will see, I have a demonstration for you, a simulation where there is a Slack. You can see that there are signals, for example, Slack message or GitHub event, GitHub driven events, pull requests, and they become, or some other sources as well. There are various signals that become organizational intelligence in under in an environment that's fast enough that's practical enough, and you'll see that the system actually rejects the noise as well. So because knowing what not to learn is just as important as the other aspect. And you'll see that practically how an organizational brain actually grows from empty to various entries connected, validated, and that's what's coming up. I'm gonna This is the key takeaway. We talked about number of projects fail, but the failure isn't just the expensive part. Look, the expensive part is what the failure actually teaches your organization, and is it wrong lesson, is it right lesson. You are facing corrosion cascade or the catalyst cascade. Is the cascade taking your organization forward, or is it bringing everything backwards? So capture every single, build a system that learns so that the organization never forgets. And this is exactly where the edges and the competitors are winning. They are not winning because they have a better technology. They are winning because they have a better system, and system that learns and contributes towards overall wisdom. Hit that subscribe thing, and stay tuned for the demo episode with a little bit of the technical architecture. And my audience is asking about some of the technical aspects as well. So let's connect all these dots that we have been talking about from theory to code. So see you again in the next episode. Stay tuned.